It is a moment years in the making. Pope Francis on Canadian soil to deliver a message of contrition. The Pope has now arrived in Edmonton, welcomed by Governor General Mary Simon and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, to begin what he calls a pilgrimage of penance. He told reporters traveling with him on a plane that left Rome Sunday morning, his 6-day visit must be handled with care. Francis is here to apologize for the abuse against Indigenous boys and girls at residential schools and the generational trauma and grief. He was greeted by a drum circle from the Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation before exchanging gifts with Indigenous leaders and elders. The welcome ceremony was brief. The Pope is now resting ahead of Monday, when he will face survivors near the site of a former residential school in Musqueam, where he is expected to deliver his apology.
I hope that the Pope sees Indigenous peoples and recognizes them. I also hope that the Pope understands that the failure to deliver this apology and the failure to adequately compensate and the failure to provide documents from the Church has continued a genocidal approach to Indigenous peoples.
It was the Catholic Church that ran most of Canada's residential schools. Over 150,000 First Nation, Métis, and Inuit children were taken from their homes, abused emotionally, physically, and sexually, and thousands died.
It is the leadership of the Catholic Church which has been very slow and very porous in their reaction.
It wasn't until a horrific discovery last year near what was once the Kamloops Indian Residential School that forced our country and the world to look. More than 200 students had been buried in unmarked graves on the ground. The Pope was invited to visit the site, now considered sacred, but it is not on his itinerary. Nigon Sinclair with the University of Manitoba says taking full responsibility is about more than words. Some have called for the financial compensation promised to survivors, the return of artifacts held by the Vatican museums, and the release of residential school records.
The Catholic Church has to rectify that, has to pay the money that they owe, just to begin a process of using the term reconciliation. And if they don't, then all of this visit is just for naught and fairly empty.
The Pope is also scheduled to travel to Quebec City and Iqaluit this week, but his itinerary for Monday includes his only visit to a residential school. He will later return to Edmonton, where he will meet with parishioners at the Sacred Heart Church of the First Peoples. Caryn Ceolin, City News.